Hello everybody, yes, Max can win the title, the World Drivers' Championship in Formula One. We will be talking about what Jacques Villeneuve has been saying to the press. And also, we're going to be looking at Flavio Briatore and Franco Colapinto. Franco Colapinto's been out in the press saying some quite interesting things about their relationship and what does that mean for his drive in 2026. And also, big story today, Christian Horner, the true hero behind the resurgence of that Red Bull car for Max Verstappen at Monza and at Azerbaijan. It was his upgrade, not Laurent McKee. So we're going to be talking about all those three stories today. Hello, this is F1 Grandstand. This is your F1 News. I am Tony Craig. Thank you so much for joining me. Please smash a like on the video, hit the bell and all that good stuff because it really makes a difference to the success of the channel. And if you're watching this on replay, stay with us. Get your answers and get involved in the chat and I will get back to you. So, first story. Jacques Villeneuve has been talking about Max Verstappen's prospects after this resurgence in the Red Bull car. So he was talking to F1 Oversteer, and this is what Villeneuve had to say. Verstappen can win the championship. He's only 3 races away, and that's not as much as people think. My only worry is in Singapore. Even when the Red Bull was an incredible car, for some reason, that's never been a good track for them. Now, this is true. It's the kind of track where they've suffered. On the other hand, they weren't that bad in Zandvoort, but who knows? This season has been full of surprises. A team that should be good at a track is useless and vice versa. We keep being surprised, and it's amazing. So what he's basically saying is that Max Verstappen is 3 races off catching Oscar Piastri because Oscar Piastri right now sits with 324 points. Lando Norris 299 and Max Verstappen 255. Now the interesting part here is Max Verstappen 3 races ago was 104 points behind Oscar Piastri and now he's 69 points behind. Now McLaren seem to be last 2 races really sort of lost their groove a little bit. 2 dodgy pit stops, 4-second pit stops for Lando Norris. Race pace wasn't Grand Prix winning, was it? And then in Baku, it was a real disaster for Oscar Piastri. Crashing out of qualifying in Q3, turn 3. And then crashing out first lap of the Grand Prix after a false start, hitting anti-stall, going from P9 on the grid to the very back, then overcooking it into turn 5, putting the car in the barrier. Like, just a disaster. Now, I just need to caveat that with Oscar Piastri has been brilliant for 44 races, hasn't put a foot wrong. He's brought the car home in 44 consecutive races. So does this mean this is a whole new pattern for Oscar Piastri? Probably not. But there definitely seems to be a shift in gears over in the Red Bull team, which means that Red Bull car is fast. I mean, even Lando Norris said in Baku, even Yuki Tsunoda was quick and he couldn't get past him, which is a little dig at Yuki, actually. But yeah, the Red Bull car has definitely turned a corner. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But first, we're going to talk about Max. And we're going to talk about what Jacques Villeneuve thinks could possibly happen. So he thinks Singapore is going to be the biggest indicator of what's to come. If Max's Red Bull does well in Singapore, which is a track that historically Red Bull have not done well at, even when they've had a championship winning car. But if it does well this time, I think what Villeneuve's saying is, oh yeah, it is on. Max has a real chance at doing some sort of movie ending to this World Drivers' Championships. Now, the Constructors' Championship is interesting for Red Bull because Ferrari go into Baku number 2, and they've been number 2 in the Constructors all year long, actually. We see now, because of the good finishes from Russell and Antonelli in Azerbaijan, finishing 4th and 2nd. Mercedes are now 2nd in the constructors standing. Ferrari have gone down to 3rd. So Mercedes have got 290 points. Ferrari have got 286 points. And Red Bull Racing have got 272 points. That means that the Ferrari team are only 14 points ahead of Red Bull and Mercedes are only 18 points ahead of Red Bull. So what we could see is a whole switcheroo. Ferrari going from 2nd to 4th and Red Bull going from 4th to 2nd. It's on, really. And that does make a difference difference in the constructors. It makes a difference to prize money. It makes a difference to bragging rights. I mean, obviously nobody wants to finish second. Everyone wants to finish first, but you'd rather finish second than fourth. And that is what and that's what that's what could happen. And there is a chance, include like Villeneuve said, that the 7 races left, Max is only 3 race wins, I suppose, and 3 DNFs from Oscar, and he's in front. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. But what do you think? Get in the chat and tell me what you think about Jacques Villeneuve's predictions, or his sort of discussions on whether we could see Max Verstappen in that top spot by the end of the season. I mean, we do love a movie ending, don't we? I mean, it would be pretty cool to see a title fight that isn't just between Lando and Oscar. It'd be great for Max to bring in some fire towards the end of the season, some drama for us all before we go into those new regulations in 2026. So that's what Jacques has to say. Get in the chat and tell me what you think about that. Also, whilst we're on this subject, we need to talk about my big story of today. I did a video on it earlier on, and it's all about everyone's favorite protagonist, Christian Horner, and it's all about credit where credit's due. So today, David Comerford, there was this great story where he shone a light on the work that Christian Horner has done in that team, and what has actually turned out to be that fantastic new upgrade on Max's and Yuki's car, that new floor that came in Monza, which has really helped that Red Bull find some balance and poise and speed, was actually a Horner upgrade. This was an upgrade that Horner signed off on when he was in charge. Because obviously upgrades can take a couple of months, 2-3 months, even 6 months to bring to the grid. It was Horner that identified the new floor would be worth spending the money on, spending the time on, spending the development on. It was his commission. It was him that signed it off. And Helmut Marko has been trying to pass it off as a Lauren McKee's win. Look how great this is. We've got this new engineer leading the team, and look at the results. Well, you cannot credit Lauren McKee's with that improvement in the Red Bull car. You just can't. It was a Horner upgrade that was coming anyway. It just happens to have come after they ousted Horner at Silverstone. So that's the truth. And we're all about bringing truth and light where we can within the political noise around Formula One. But this was something that I felt was important, because when you've got the Dark Lord himself, which Helmut Marko on the PR offensive about what a great move it is basically to get rid of Horner and to bring in Laurent McKees and try and put all the credit in the wrong place. It just strengthens the argument that it was Helmut Marko was the man behind the demise of Horner, right? Because now he's working so hard to prove that it was the best thing that could have happened for the team. Laurent McKees is a breath of fresh air. Now, I'm not taking anything away from McKees, because, look, I think he's a humble guy, and I don't think he's the one shouting from the rooftop that, hey, I'm the solution, I'm the answer to Red Bull's problems. I think Laurent McKees is a humble guy, and I think he has made some positive changes. We can see that he's balanced out the developments between the two Red Bull cars. He's given Yuki the same upgrades as Max. He's trying to give them the same machinery. And we've seen a marked improvement in Yuki's performances. So he has had a positive impact on Yuki's performances. And he is there whilst Max has, had an uptick in performance as well. Two poles, back-to-back poles and back-to-back wins. It's impressive. It's very impressive. And Singapore, if we believe Jacques Villeneuve, is what it's all about. Will the Red Bull go well at Singapore? Now, we haven't got long to find out, but that is going to be the telling. I think it's going to be that's the Grand Prix that will really either bring up the excitement of the possibilities of Max Verstappen challenging for the World Driver Championship, or whether it's just a bit of noise to try and get the fans going. And really, Oscar Piastri is still your number one guy, or Lando Norris. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think. What I think is, if anybody can do the improbable, it's Max Verstappen. If anybody could come back from a 69-point deficit against a strong McLaren in a newly strong Red Bull with 7 races left, yeah, Max is the outside bet. There's no one else on the grid I'd put money on who could even nearly challenge for it. Do I really believe in my heart that that's what's going to happen? Or do I really still believe that Oscar Piastri, that his weekend in Baku was one to forget? It's a blip, and he's going to come back stronger, and he's going to come back the same cool, calm, collected Oscar that we know. And he's going to then go on another run of 40 or 50 Grand Prix of finishing the races and bringing the car home. Well, truthfully, I think Oscar Piastri is a class act. I think that he lost his head in Baku. I think the frustration of jumping the start, hitting anti-stall, going from P9, which he was obviously frustrated with, being the leader of the World Drivers' Championship and qualifying so badly. The pressure, the frustration of that start, I think he lost his head. I think that cool, calm, collected Oscar, I think we lost it in a split moment. And in that moment, unfortunately for him, was the wrong moment to do it. Tyres are cold, dirty track, or dirty side of the track, couldn't make it stick, and he's in the wall. Do I think he'd make the same mistake again? No, I don't. I think Oscar Piastri, it's his championship to lose. I don't think Lando Norris has got it in him to, if we saw what Lando Norris did in Baku, he didn't capitalise on his opportunity, did he? He had one open goal to score points against his teammate who was ahead of him by 31 points. And he just didn't maximise the opportunity. He saw Oscar crash out in Q3 and he still couldn't put a lap together under pressure, could he? So Lando Norris, for me, if anybody showed signs of buckling under pressure, I would say Lando Norris was guilty. Guilty as charged. But that's what I think. I do believe that Oscar Piastri is still going to be your world champion at the end of this season. But get in the chat. Tell me what you think. I'd love to hear what you got to say. Hey, Gemma, I'm going to get in the chat now. Let's see if you can build on this week's performance. So Gemma says, let's see if Max can build on the last 2 Grand Prix performances. Well, I don't think Max is ever the issue. I think Max can always deliver. And you can see that with his way. He always maximises everything he can get out of that car. His qualifying performances have been outstanding. His race pace over the last 2 races, outstanding. And he's just brilliant, isn't he? So give him a car that's a top 3 car, then yeah, I think Max is your winner. That's how good he is. I think he really does make the car better than it is. So you could give him the 3rd best car on the grid, maybe even the 4th best car on the grid, and I still think Max is your favourite to win the race under those circumstances. He's that good. Marco, aka Svengali. Yeah, he is the Svengali over at Red Bull Racing now. He's the only sole director of Red Bull Racing. Now Horner's gone, so he's got a lot of power over there, a lot of power. And also, he's got a nice team principal in Lauren McKees, who's not even a director of Red Bull Racing. So, how much power Lauren McKees actually has? Well, debatable. He makes the decisions on the pit wall, right? On race day, I'm sure he does that. But yeah, by all accounts, a nice guy. But Christian Horner, well, completely different character. And speaking of different characters, today's story is about Franco Colapinto's relationship with Flavio Briatore. It's Flavio. What a character he is. Acting boss over at Alpine. He's actually a special advisor, but he is the head honcho over at Alpine at the moment. He's running things, trying to turn things around, making the key decisions over at Alpine. And Franco Colapinto has been his driver pick ever since he replaced Jacques Doohan in the Alpine as their rookie. So everyone's been asking, well, Colapinto, is he going to get a drive in 2026? Now, does he deserve a drive for 2026? I'd have to say no. He's put that car in the wall more times than anyone else this season. Baku, another terrible performance, down in P19. His teammate Pierre Gasly, the only driver to score points for Alpine this season. Colapinto scored 0 points. He's written the car off a few times. He even crashed the car in a Pirelli tyre test, put it in the wall. Now, we all know the Alpine car is awful. I'm not saying it isn't a terrible car, but he's been miles away from his teammate, Pierre Gasly. And he hasn't really shown enough for him to keep his drive. But he's an Argentinian driver that brings a large fan base and brings quite a lot of money with him, a sponsorship into the team. He brings more money than Jacques Doohan, which is why he's managed to retain his seat after really not great performances. He has got slightly better, I guess, over the last few Grand Prix. But has he done enough to keep his drive for 2026? No. But this is what he was saying to motorsport.com. He said, this is what Colapinto says. I have a very good relationship with Flavio. Colapinto said in a wide-ranging conversation for F1's Beyond the Grid podcast. He's hard with everyone, and his way of making the team work and motivating the people, it's sometimes a bit hard, and sometimes it can feel, a little bit too much if you don't know him. But he's someone I really believe in, and someone that I believe is going to move this team forward. He's going to help the team get back to the top, so I learned a lot from him this year. He's made me a lot stronger mentally. I'm very grateful for the opportunity, of course, that he gave me, but also for all his process, that we're going through. If you look at the results and you'd be like, oof, it's going to be hard for Alpine to get out of that, but I definitely feel that we're not giving up. I mean, what does that sound like? Colapinto doesn't have a drive nailed on for 2026. They've re-signed Gasly to 2028, as they should do, because his performances in that awful Alpine have been nothing short of remarkable, actually. We did an overperformance index show, and Pierre Gasly was the second best driver in the overperformance index with a score of 5.5, which is very high. When 0 is the expected outcome for a driver, 5.5 is exceptionally high. So well done to him for scoring his drive. But Franco Colapinto is basically on the charm offensive because Flavio Briatore is brutal. He's brutal. And no doubt he's been brutal with Franco. But Franco wants a drive for next year. So he's out there publicly after being berated by Flavio Briatore in a lot of ways. He wants a drive and he wants to be easy to work with. And Flavio doesn't really like drivers that argue with him. He likes drivers who are yes men. So Franco Colapinto seems like he's really trying to play the political game publicly to try and win favour. But what he's neglecting to think about is that if ChristianHorner does end up somehow being one of the owners of Alpine next season and becoming the team principal, you're not quick enough for him, mate. I'll tell you right now, you better pray that Horner doesn't take the Alpine opportunity to become 20% owner of that team and team principal, because there is no way you're getting that drive, son. No way. If Horner's in, Colapinto, you are out. And honestly, it's going to take a miracle over the next 7 races for you to keep your drive, regardless of what you're saying to the press. That's just what I think. But yeah, it's definitely seems a little bit like he's trying to win favour with Flavio. And Gemma says, do you think Alpine can pull their socks up in the break before next season? So do I think Alpine can be competitive next season? The short answer is yes, because they've got the Mercedes power unit, so they don't really have to worry about that. They just need to worry about the integration of that power unit into their chassis, the suspension, the aero. They do have a lot to think about, but do they have the skills that can do it? Well, I have to say that I think it's possible. They stopped any development work and upgrades on the 2025 car early in this season because they're short of resources and short of money, and made the conscious decision to put all of their time and resources into the 2026 car. So hopefully that decision was the right decision. Now, Pierre Gasly, like I say, just signed an extension there till 2028. He knows what's going on behind the scenes. Do I think Gasly could have had other options? Possibly. Would he have signed till the end of 28? If he didn't think what the team was doing looked promising, he would have signed a 1-year deal maybe. Because Gasly's really come into his own. Gasly is an underrated driver on the grid. He really is. You know, if you saw Gasly, for instance, in a number 2 seat at Ferrari, you know, with Charles Leclerc, you'd honestly see a very quick driver. That's what I believe. I think he's matured a lot. So Gasly signed to the end of 28 makes me think that Alpine are making strides forward, and maybe that 2026 car has got potential. But the thing about 2026, Gemma, is that because it's a whole new regulation change, that that nobody knows really. There's no one's guaranteed to be quick. No team's guaranteed to be number one. Like that's why I love these major regulation changes every 5 years, these 5-year cycles, because we could just see Williams being super quick, Aston Martin with that newie car being super quick. We could see Ferrari being super quick. Although, if you listen to the rumours of that coming out of Ferrari's power unit development, they might not be. Their power unit might be in trouble. So it's hard to say. I think Alpine have got a chance of being better? Yeah, I do. I mean, they're dead last at the moment. You know, right at the back. I mean, they've only scored 20 points this season. Gasly got them all. Haas have got 44 points in 9th, and Sauber up on 55 points. But Alpine, they're going to struggle to score points between now and the end of the season. They've had no upgrades, nothing. There's nothing coming for that car between now and the end of the season. It's just Pierre Gasly has just got to try and eke out opportunities wherever he can. I don't know. So this season, we're not going to see him score many more points. I'll be surprised if they score any more points. But 2026, yeah, it's possible, Gemma. It's possible. It's you say, Gemma says, Franco Colapinto's quicker on my graphic than he is on the track. Yeah, true. Well, the thing is about Colapinto is over a lap, I think he can be quick. It's just not worked out for him this season in Formula One in that very difficult car. Would he do better in a better car? Yeah, of course he would. But it's the rookie mistakes he's made. It's the crashes. It's not bringing the car home. Not finishing races. You know, silly mistakes that you can't really excuse necessarily because the car's a shitbox. That's the problem. That's the real issue. So yeah, that's really what's going on in the Formula One news today. If you haven't seen it already, go and watch my report on the Horner video I did earlier today. It's really quite good. I hope you like it. Goes into detail about what's going on over there and how they are trying to rob him of his credit, which is just not okay. Yes, Gemma, bag of spanners. That is the best description of that Alpine car. It's a bag of spanners. But yeah, so this is going to be the new time, by the way, for our live streams in the evening, 7:30. Sorry if you've just tuned in late, expected to be on 8 o'clock. Rewind it, watch it, get your chats in, and I will respond to them all. But remember, moving forward, our live streams, our daily live streams are going to be 7:30 in the evening. So set your clocks half an hour earlier. I'm so sorry if I didn't tell you that yesterday and if you've missed this one, but watch it on replay. You can get up to date with all of the news. That is it for tonight's live stream. I will be back tomorrow with more news. Obviously, more F1 news coming at you. If there's any breaking news during the day, you'll see those videos posted, but I'll be back for the live stream at 7:30 GMT. Please join me, and we'll catch up, then. Ta-ta.